President Trump just marked 6 months in office, and now he's taking a victory lap on foreign policy. Listen to this. In January, he redesignated the Houthis as a terrorist organization. Then in May, he secured a ceasefire deal with that terror group. In June, the president ordered military strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities. No Americans were hurt in the operation, and Trump says the attacks, quote, completely destroyed the regime's nuclear sites. Then later in June, Trump helped broker a ceasefire between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. He also signed an executive order ending U.S. sanctions on Syria. Plus, over the last 6 months, the White House says Trump met with 23 foreign leaders. That is quite a 6-month performance. Still on foreign policy, Iran could reportedly hold nuclear talks with Europeans as early as next week. Joining me now is retired 4-star General Jack Keane. Can you bring us up to speed, please, General, on the status of Iran's military and nuclear programs? How are they doing?
Well, certainly, Iran suffered a significant military defeat in a 12-day war with Israel, supported by the obvious, very decisive military strike by the United States. Their nuclear enterprise, certainly, which was the major objective, was largely either severely damaged or destroyed, are the assessments Israeli intel is making, publicly released, as well as the United States intelligence services. When you get into the real issue, the issue was advanced centrifuges. That's the capability that they need to enrich uranium. Those centrifuges, some 18,000, were either completely destroyed or so disabled as a result of the impact of the strikes and the penetration bombs that were used, that they are no longer capable of enriching uranium using those centrifuges. The enriched uranium itself, a lot of which was kept at the Ashfahan site, deeply buried, some of that has survived because it's in powder form, but it's impassable to get at it without major engineer recovery operation. And to do such an operation will be in full view of U.S. and Israeli intelligence. And Israel said, if you try to make a move on it, we will reattack, and the President of the United States has supported that. I think what is most likely, I believe Iran is committed to having a nuclear program, Stuart, despite everything that happened to them in the 12-day war. And I think the likely thing is try to start new at a secret site. And I believe, from what I've heard publicly from the Israelis, is they are much aware of that, and they already have some intelligence on it. So look at Israel intelligence, U.S. intelligence is going to focus on this every single hour of the day, just like we did on those deeply buried sites. We knew where they were. We knew what the construction would be and the impediment in dealing with them, and we were able to deal with it quite successfully. So I'm confident that Iran will start anew, but we will be all on top of it when they do.
What a waste of money for the Iranians. What a waste. Yeah, they could be a prosperous society, but then, like this, they're not going to be. Change the subject a second. Yeah, Russia insists on achieving its goals in Ukraine before they agree to a peace deal. Trump gave Putin until September 2nd for a ceasefire. Doesn't sound like there's any progress at all, is there?
No, and when you take a look at what Putin's so-called goals are, you can understand why the Ukrainians can't agree to it, nor the United States. I mean, first of all, his first goal is he wants a regime change. Zelensky has to go. Well, Zelensky was elected by the people. Martial law was declared. Just similar things happened, countries involved in World War II, and they can't have elections until martial law is no longer there and there's not a war. People can't go to polling posts, to elect somebody, and what Putin wants is just a change period. Second, he wants to take over the 4 oblasts, think of them as provinces or states, that his troops are presently occupying some portion thereof. And Zelensky's forces would have to move out of there, and it would become part of Russia. The third thing is he wants Zelensky to say that he will never, ever join NATO. And number 4, is he wants him to demilitarize his military. So you can understand Ukraine can't come to a deal like that, nor would the United States. And that's why this thing has been so challenging and why the president's frustrated and decided to double down on this and support Ukraine. And in that hope, battlefield effects, things start to change on the battlefield for Putin. It starts to turn negative for him. Then possibly that will get his attention. Don't know for sure to come to the negotiating table. We'll have to see.
One more for you, General. An official in Taiwan sounding the alarm about China's maritime aggression, which has been apparently very obvious recently. Is China getting closer to an attack on Taiwan, and should Trump interfere?
Well, if you look at the level of intimidation and coercion and how much it has increased in the 12 years that President Xi is in power, and the fact that it's at its highest state ever right now, you would think that they are getting closer. President Xi has said this publicly. He wants his military to be ready to take Taiwan in 2027. And he threatens every single year doing just that. I think we should believe him. What is most likely here, Stuart, and the commanders that we have in the Pacific have said this publicly, we have seen President Xi and his Coast Guard and his Navy and other commercial ships that actually work for the PLA, in other words, work for the military, intimidate maritime as well as air interdiction zones around Taiwan. And they believe they're rehearsing for a quarantine or a blockade, which is the most likely path that Xi would take as opposed to the all-out invasion. And it kind of supports what he's done so far. He's gained influence in the region by intimidation and coercion without firing a shot. Not a single shot.
Yeah.
And he would do the same thing with Taiwan. Surround it, don't let air in, don't let ships in, and then force it to do what? Take action against them and appeal to the United States to help them. President Xi would be counting on the fact Taiwan can't handle this by himself, and the United States would say no. We don't want a catastrophic war with China. The world economy will sink. We will sink as a result of it. The casualties will be too high. We're not going to do it. I don't believe that's where the United States is. I think President Xi is miscalculating. But that, I believe, is the path that he is on, Stuart.
Okay. It's a bleak outlook. General, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for being with us today. See you again real soon.